difference in a different way. Hashtag the labor room.
Hashtag the Green Century Code.
What we need to do is dream together.
Yes, Niki.
Panel.
That makes it 7. Just shift here. Here.
How many are they? 6, 7.
Let the last person shift. Oh yeah.
Shift.
Are you sitting down there? She needs to shift a little. We have shifted now.
They have to. Will I shift?
Babe, shift a little. We have shifted. It's not me now. I know you have to go from down.
No, please, you don't have time. You don't have time. Cooperate, please. Shift more here so that's. Oh, this is 1, 2, 3. Just shift. Let's finish one.
On the canal. See guys, we shift a little flat. See she shift. Oh yeah. We are shifted. Wait, the ball, shift your chair. Shift it. See green chair is empty. They let them exchange it with 12 black. How many guests are we expecting? 6 or 5? Chairman, how many guests are we expecting? 6 or 7? 3. So be in their midst. 3. Just sit on the other one, yes. Be in their midst. 3.
The podium.
Okay, don't worry, you can sit.
But there's no. Oh, let's work with this. Just shift it behind.
Welcome our distinguished guests. Welcome to our Welcome our distinguished guests to our transformation and solution-driven mansion. These are Labour governors, young people selected carefully from their states, professionals in various fields. We have mathematicians, doctors, linguists, engineers, and we're passionate about our country. We've been here for 51 days, brainstorming, thinking, and talking about solution. It's nice to have you here. Permit me to start the introduction protocol so they can introduce themselves and you meet them one on one. Make yourself comfortable if you could just... Yeah. Okay, starting from my right.
You're welcome, our distinguished guests. I am Lance Jonathan, 11 governor for Oyo State. I'm working on a pet project titled Nuba Mayara in English begins educate children.
My name is Dr. Caesar Sylvester. I'm the Labour Governor of Oyo State. My pet project is the AMEN project, Alternative Meats for Nigerians. We hope to empower Nigerians with meats, alternative meats like rabbits, snails, in a business format and place at least 30,000 in the pocket of Nigerians. The target is 3,000 Nigerians in 2 years. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome our distinguished guest. My name is Ambassador Mira Isaguso, the Labour Governor of Zamfara State. And my personal development project is Gusau Feed Project. It's about agriculture, processing soybeans through value chain addition. You are most welcome.
It's nice having you. From the cradle of Yoruba land, I'm Akish Latin Toberidan, and I'm the Labour Governor for Oyo State. My pet project is Nigeria Agri-Tourism Festival. We are planning to have industries for the purpose of processing, preserving, and packaging our agri-produce to meet international markets. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Iwa and I'm the Labour Governor of Oyo State. My pet project is all about literacy and skill acquisition, empowering youth, women, and children with knowledge of entrepreneurship. And my project is called Fresh Empire.
Yes, in fields of tourism, I am Tom from the County State. And my pet project is Pearls in Agriculture. It's an integrated farming system for children, which targets children in primary and secondary school, giving them a first-hand experience in modern forms of integrated farming, whereby waste product from one agricultural system will be used in another. Thereby, at the end of the day, when they grow up, you don't have to cajole them into being agriculturists because they become part and parcel of them once they are in.
Distinguished guests, from the home of peace and tourism, my name is Nana Promise Bulo, the Labour Governor representing Plateau State. The title of my pet project is called Industrial Biscuits. We are aimed at tapping into the imaginative and futuristic mindset of the children with the art of exploring materials available to them. It's aimed at putting in an industrial hub where they will be trained in vocational skill acquisition, resource allocation, etc. to make them become entrepreneurs, inventors, and future business gurus, so that before the age of 18 they can be financially sustained. And this is aimed at eliminating dependence on white-collar jobs. Thank you.
You're most welcome to the campus. I'm Adila Adenka, the Labour Governor of Oyo State. Our environment is a condition of living under which we exist. With the population of over 100 million Nigerians, we do not take our environment into consideration, which leads to my pet project called Project Waste to Wealth. Anything you can imagine as waste will be converted into wealth. Thank you very much.
Once again, you're welcome, sir. My name is Jawo. governor of Ekiti State. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the Ekiti State Agro Initiative, with focus to place the frame for the globalization of agriculture in my state and in Nigeria, that by engaging the youths in cooperative farming of certain selected agricultural products. And on a long-term projection, the establishment of a national ICT cultural park in my state with the retained and overall back profits paid from the agricultural sector. And also, in case you want to know what it takes to establish the next Silicon Valley in Nigeria, download the PDF version of this book at www.book.nifty.com. Thanks, Edonston.
The most welcome stars and mass. You might have heard it said that the honor of a great nation is in the global relevance and acceptance of the youth of that nation. My name is Ifeola Jendeli. I'm the labor governor for the state. My personal development project is ARM, that's Arc and Rainbow Movement. And basically, we're interested in the mental emotional and psychological fitness and wellness of teenagers and youths in Ogun State and Nigeria, basically. We'll be working with psychologists, with counselors, with set therapists, with NLP practitioners, just to ensure that our teenagers get to a global acceptance and relevance. Thank you very much.
Welcome. My name is Nafi Governor representing Sokoto State. My personal project is Life of Almajiri. Almajiri means someone who will leave the city or state to another place in search of Islamic knowledge. So most of the people coming to the cities now, they are misusing the opportunity, and most of the kids out, their parents send them to school to search for Islamic knowledge without food, clothing, and other facilities. So we have found a very possible solution was to be very effective.
Good evening and welcome to the Labor Mansion. My name is John Johnson, the Labor Governor for Ondo State. My PDV, or Personal Development Project, is an Ghana chocolate factory and processing plants. The idea is to use state resources to generate revenue for state development and eventually federal development. Thank you.
First of all, gentlemen, please. My name is Ivan Ela, representing Ogun State. My project is the microscope, also known as Gators Got Talent. And it's important to focus on hunting talent in the gators. I know some of us know one or two people who have special talent in music, sports, and other areas, arts and other things. But because they have not been identified, because there is no platform for them to sell these talents people don't want them. And most of them died with that talent in the past. So I don't want these people to die with this talent. I want to create a platform where the whole world will see them. The world will covered and then it will be seen in all the media platforms and it will be covered by all media houses and the rest of it. At the end of the day, they will contribute very, very well to the economy of the country, and then they will improve themselves. Thank you.
From the Nature's Gift to the Nation, Taraba State, my name is Jibba. You're welcome. My pet project is called the SMT 100, meaning See My Taraba 100%. It's a tourism project that is targeted towards aiming and exposing the tourism potentials of Taraba State to the world. That is just a decoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests. My name is Mohammed Sule, the Labor Governor representing Kogi State. My personal development project is EduConquest. We all know the educational decline in Nigeria, and we all know about school dropouts and children who do not have the opportunity to further education. These are very intelligent students. EduConquest will start on February 28, 2018. It is an educational competition for educational development, trying to increase the drive in education, to glorify teachers, to develop winning schools, and also to give scholarships to these great students. You're welcome.
From the light of the nation, my name is Chinedu Naoba, representing Anambra State. And my pet project is community library development. And the vision is to drive the reading culture in our local communities. You're welcome.
Good evening, and you're welcome. It's quite unfortunate River State is polluted. The gas emission caused by the flaring of gas pollutes our environment. NIPAPAM helps in protecting our environment. I'm the founder, NIPAPAM/Ethanol Refinery in River State, and I'm Jean Dickey, the governor representing River State.
You're very welcome, our distinguished guests. My name is Abubakar Suleiman from the home of solid minerals, from the Labour Room Governor representing Nasarawa State. My pet project is Emergency Youth. It's a leadership and mentoring training for youth aimed at making them self-reliant and most importantly, helping them create more CEOs. Thank you.
Representing the Big Apple Institution, and also your highly welcome, our dear distinguished guests. Without a doubt, Toastmasters International is reputed, not just an organization, but beyond it. Representing the Big Apple Institution, on behalf of the Nigerian Delta, I am the legal governor of Delta State, and my name is Ushebiri Olufe. The title of my passion, my pet development project, is LRG 900. It's targeted at impacting at least 1,000 Niger Delta youths annually. L stands for leadership training. The next generation of Niger Delta leaders are not going to be limited. R is for rural women processing and packaging partnership as an agricultural economist. Get ready for rural women entrepreneurship. And G is for targeted grassroots sports development. The next set of best Olympians are not going to be from the US, neither is it in my affairs. It's going to be my brothers and the crews. LRG 900. Thank you.
and I'm the neighboring governor of Abia State. And my next project is called The New Aba Empire. As a model and a fashion designer, I intend to promote or showcase Abamic products to the world. Thank you.
Most welcome, distinguished guests to our solution management, and which I bring the goodies for them. Greeting from the center of the University. My name is Sharon Davis, and I'm the non-governor for the University. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the personal development project, which I have the Dada initiative. That's
creating an enabling environment for the dreams of every Nigerian youth. And to say that the 70% of the Nigerian youth how can we get 30%?
afraid this hand and this band are not being overcome by the leaders of all. I don't want to be a hero from the state of Anambra State. And my PPP is start P-Entry, my personal pet project, is project national values focused on the education sector. Imagine our physics, biology, math, Yoruba, Igbo, in game form, in music form. Also, they actually help us to paint the picture to people that the street is producing millionaires. And our own children start asking the question, you really need to go to school. So to redefine my vision as a project, national values, then as well.
From the Eastern Heartland, my name is Onyekwe Godwin Nwachukwuneke. I am the Labour Room Governor for Imo State. I dream of Nigeria running an intellectual economy where the next billion-dollar startup like Facebook and Uber can come from the creativity of our citizens. My personal development project is the Imo Innovative Hub. It's like the Silicon Valley in Imo State, where we train at least 1,000 youths from Imo State and prepare them with digital skills, local on-demand skill. We're also partnering with an online platform called 234work.com to give them a platform to use their knowledge, talent, skill, or hobby to earn reliable income. We're talking about the independent marketplace where you don't have to go to work in the morning and come back in the evening, where you can sit at the comfort of your home or wherever you choose to and work and earn a living. You're welcome to our solution-driven mansion. I welcome the Toastmasters International. Permit me to introduce the members of this council. This is the Labour Room Executive Council, and I have my spokesperson, Labour Room Governor for Borno State, Debal Nice Jonathan. I have my secretary, Labour Room Governor for Kwara State, and I'm the chairman of the Labour Room Executive Council. You're welcome to our solution.
Masters actually, and I'm a proud Toastmaster. I'm a proud Toastmaster.
Good evening, Your Excellencies, and also to my colleagues, the Toastmasters. My name is Ahmed. I'm a business lawyer. I'm a mentor. I'm the President Emerald Toastmasters Abuja.
A very good evening to you, Your Excellencies. My name is Winston Patrick. I am an engineer by trade, an entrepreneur, a public speaker, master of ceremony. And I serve currently as the Program Quality Director for Division E, and that covers all the clubs in the northern part of the country. I am forever a Toastmaster.
Good evening, Your Excellencies. My name is Tonya Alana. I am a certified etiquette and image consultant. I am also a retired diplomat. I served in foreign affairs for 24 years and served in several countries all over the world. I'm also the first female political officer to former President Obasanjo, and I have served several heads of state, both foreign and local. I can see Margaret Thatcher. I was on her entourage when she visited Nigeria, and so I know we are inspired by the world leaders. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm currently the division director for Division E, and that covers all the Toastmasters clubs in northern Nigeria. I'm forever a Toastmaster, and I'm also currently with Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited as the DG and Government Relations. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have us all. We're proud to be here. We're glad to be here to be part of something huge of this nature. And you'll be finding out more about Toastmasters. I know I have a brother here who seems to have made a research on Toastmasters. We have heard a brief of how it's been in the house, and we really applaud you all. And we know living here is going to be like a ripple effect in the country. Well done. Talking about Toastmasters, I'll be calling one of us to give a brief speech on what it is about Toastmasters. So please, let's give it up for Toastmaster Winston.
Thank you all very much. My fellow Toastmasters and Your Excellencies, the Labour Room Governors. It's a pleasure to be here to tell you about an organization that I am so passionate about. People from various walks of life and from different schools of thoughts have defined human beings in different ways. Some people will classify humans as social animals. And you have people from another paradigm who would classify humans as political animals. Some people call them human beings. And you have some who define them as communicating animals. Now, all of these are correct depending on your paradigm, depending on where and how you're looking at a situation. From your first cry as a child, you signaled to the world that you had arrived. You communicated and you sought attention. And as you started your journey, you realized that your very existence depended on human interaction. So there was a social element to your lives. And as you went on, you started speaking. You started talking. You started communicating. So our very existence depends on human interaction. And human interaction depends on communication. Sadly, not many people pay attention to the development of this very important tool. You have people who are born with the phobia of speaking in public. And speaking in public for some people might be in front of 10 or 15 people. To some people it might be a number as small as 3. It's no surprise that a psychologist from the UK, sometime in 2004, published a report, The Things People Fear More Than Death. And 75% of humans would rather take a bullet than do what I am doing now, or do what you all have done. Because not many people can actually stand the room being quiet and people listening as they bear their thoughts. I tell you, this dates back to very long. When I picked up interest in public speaking and thought that I would want to retire as a public speaker, what did I do? I went on searching and I downloaded Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. I would stand in front of a mirror several times. And I was so comfortable mimicking his voice. But when I went out of the room and had to stand in front of people, there I discovered that I was confused. My thoughts were drowned. My confidence submerged by trepidation. And I sought to find a way to make that thing on cost. And so I picked up my first public speaking Bible. How to Develop Self-Confidence by Public Speaking. A book by Del Carnegie. I studied the book. And I learned one very phenomenal lesson. That every speaker, every human being has his or her own voice. Your own tonality. What makes you unique. And when you try to mimic people, when you try to borrow other people's voices, you will, like me, find yourself in front of people making rather discombobulated performances. The next thing I discovered was that public speaking in itself is somewhat analogous to every other activity you have in your life. Swimming, driving. Someone mentioned Michael Phelps. But you would agree with me, sir, that no matter how much, or no matter how often you stand beside a pool and watch Michael Phelps swim in his pool trying to beat his record, if you have never learned how to swim, it will be absolutely ludicrous for you to take a leap into the pool. You would need to start on the shallow end. You would need an instructor who would hold you as you glide through the waters, who would teach you how to flap one stroke, the second stroke, the third stroke to stay afloat.
You will sometimes need someone in the pool as well whose rhythm you would watch to draw inspiration from. And so, public speaking is like that. You need that shallow end. So I began searching for that shallow end. And I stumbled upon a very strange organization with a very strange name. Toastmasters. And I attended the first meeting. I was blown away. Because there I found a very shallow end to begin, in front of 15, 20 people. There I found that I could have that coach who will hold my hands as I learn. Believe me, I wasn't this good. There I found as well that from everyone who sat in the audience, I could draw inspiration, I could learn, I could watch their reading. This organization started over 90 years ago and has helped over 4 million people like myself, and like some of you perhaps in the past, to overcome fear of exposure. Through its over 15,000 clubs in 143 countries, it provides that shallow end. When I joined, I was issued 2 books. The first was the Competent Communication Manual. Now, this provided me with what I will call the basics of public speaking. But I was in for another surprise. I was also issued another manual called the Competent Leadership Manual. And here I learned some skills that would make me effective as a leader. But most importantly, I got the prize of 2 for 1. I beg your pardon, I got 2 things for the price of 1. And I learned that Toastmasters as an organization is guided by values that transcend race, transcend culture, transcend ethnicity, transcend social. With integrity, with respect, with service, and with excellence as your core values, you can be what I will call a moral leader. A leader without power. We have heard of leaders in the past, some of them whose pictures we have here. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. These are men who influenced a tribe without holding power. These are men who influenced the tribe without a formal office, because they understood that moral leadership comes from values. And Toastmasters provides you these values. And so we are here today to interact with you all. Some of you have pet projects on training, on leadership development. We're here to encourage some of you who don't have Toastmasters in your various states. If you have Toastmasters in your states, go back, join them. Expand the movement. If you don't have, start one. And the people that come into those organizations or into those clubs will be forever grateful to you, just as I am grateful to the day I found Toastmasters. Thank you all for
Thank you very much for that, Toastmaster Winston. Toastmasters is really a platform that can change lives. And I can imagine a platform that helps us learn moral leadership aligned to what is going on here. I can't imagine what Nigeria can be. Now we will be having a demo meeting of Toastmasters, because in every Toastmasters club or setup, there is a meeting. The meeting is the structure of the personal development activities. Normally we have the Toastmaster of the day who stands as the anchor of the meeting, and that is what I am doing today. Thank you. So I will be your Toastmaster for today. The normal Toastmasters meeting is broken down into 3 segments. You have the prepared speeches. What I've listened to, Your Excellencies, are more like prepared speeches. Please a round of applause for yourself. Now, after the prepared speeches, you have what we call the table topics, where we are called up to speak impromptu, to be able to articulate our thoughts. And after the impromptu speech, the table topics, we now have evaluations, because this is one thing that is lacking in leadership in society today. We only get better by feedbacks. And there's something we promote in Toastmasters.
Pattern in Toastmasters, we call it CRC. And usually what this stands for, C, you commend somebody. This is very good, you do this and that. And the R stands for recommendation, areas that need some improvement. And the second C is to give commendation again. And I will be working with other Toastmasters. In my team, I have one of the finest Toastmasters we have here as my grammarian. And join me, Toastmasters and Your Excellency, to welcome to the stage our timer, our grammarian, Toastmaster Sonia.
The R counter. Pause fillers are words that are unnecessary but that we use due to habit or maybe lack of knowing what to say. Words like, you see what I mean? And so I'll be counting them as often as they will be in use. Now, the word for today, the word of the day is daunting. Can everyone say it together?
Daunting.
Daunting is an adjective. And it means seeming difficult to deal with in a prospect or intimidating. Synonyms are intimidating, formidable, disconcerting, unnerving, unsettling, dismaying, discouraging, disheartening, dispiriting, demoralizing, and so on. The example of a use in a sentence is the daunting task of raising 5 boys. or raising 5 boys is a daunting task. Now, every time the word of the day is used, we will bang our tables to show that the word of the day has been used properly. Please, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. I will not have a daunting task because of the final statement that I have. Now, among my team members is another fine Toastmaster who is going to be our timer. And join me as I invite Toastmaster Winston as our timer.
So, it has been said that time is perhaps one of life's most valuable currencies. That's why, as leaders, we must learn how to make proper use of time. Each person speaking today will be timed. If you're doing what we call table topics, the table topics master would explain in detail what that segment of the meeting is for. Well, you would have 1 to 2 minutes. When you see my green light, it means you have entered what I will call the danger zone. When you see the yellow, it means the clock is ticking. When you see the red one, you have 30 seconds to round off and leave the stage. Now, if you end your speech before my green light, it would be assumed that you have not used up your time. So you are supposed to keep talking until you see the green light, but be aware that when you see the green light, you are in my danger zone. So exit before the red light, and if the red light comes up, please leave after 30, before the end of 30 seconds. If not, I will sort you out later. Thank you very much, the General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. I now hand over to the Toastmaster of the day. The Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellencies, what you'll be having next is the table topics section. Now, what we try to do in Toastmasters, you have heard of various role players, is as much as possible, we want to be able to articulate our thoughts at the shortest possible time so that you can hit your message immediately. And it's a practice. And for me, I call Toastmasters a mental gym. Because every day you come, you stand up, and you keep trying until you're able to get to the place where you have set for yourself, because it's a personal development platform. Having said that, I'll be introducing on stage our table topics master. And please be informed, you will be invited to speak on several opinions. round of applause for our table topics master, Toastmaster Halima. Okay, you can.
Once again, good evening, my fellow. Toastmasters and your excellencies. I am your table topic master for today's meeting. Now, what is going through your mind? Table topics. I'm sure. Some of you may think is a topic on the table. No. Table topic session in Toastmasters helps you to learn the act of impromptu speaking skills. Now, have you ever imagined walking into a meeting or an occasion? It could even be a marriage ceremony, and someone calls you to say that, oh, hello, please, could you come help us officiate the cutting of this cake? What would be happening to you at that moment? I'm sure a lot of us will be anxious, anxiety. You will have a lot of funny wobbles going round your stomach. So what this session does is to help you curtail that anxiety, is to help you organize your thoughts articulate your thoughts as quickly as possible to be able to give your speech anytime you are being called upon to do so. And so in Toastmasters, usually we are given 2 to 3 minutes or and then one volunteer from an experienced Toastmaster to come lead the way for us. Please, can I have volunteers? Okay.
From the Toastmasters.
Give it to them.
Okay. House of
A lady,
ginger. Okay, lady.
At least one lady.
Okay, House of Palm. So that's Sharon.
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.
So we have His Excellency the Bongo for Kaduna State, Delta State, and Kogi State. When the other section comes.
Okay. Before you come forward, let me call on one experienced Toastmaster to please come lead the way for us. Who would that be? The Toastmaster of the day himself. Please, put your hands together, please. Now let's do this.
Okay, let's have the DTM since I'll be talking.
Okay. Our distinguished DTM.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Please put your hands together for her.
All right. So the topic is, the world must know Nigerian jollof rice. I've been talking about this topic. All right, dear governors, the topic before me is, the world must know Nigerian jollof rice. Why must the world know about Nigerian jollof rice? What is special about Nigerian jollof rice? I'll share my experience because I love jollof rice. So much. I started eating jollof rice as a little girl. I'm not sure, but I think my mom started feeding me with jollof rice from 6 months. If she's watching right now, she'll be like, Titi! But indeed, jollof rice has been a favorite in my house. And even till now, I'm married, and I have my children, and my boys still love jollof rice. Now, what's special about Nigerian jollof rice? I think it's in the cooking. You can make all sorts of variations of Nigerian jollof rice. You can make it with vegetable oil. You can make it with palm oil. Some even put crayfish in their jollof rice. You can add as much vegetables in it. I can have carrots, green peas. I can decide to dice meat, beef, chicken inside my jollof rice. You cannot really go wrong with jollof rice. I cast my mind back to when I was in the University of Ibadan. Jollof rice was the quickest thing to cook. Those days we called it concoction. But concoction is actually jollof rice. Because we put in all the ingredients at once. And after boiling, we put in our rice. And then after a little while steaming together, the delicacy is ready. And all our roommates gather with their plates. In contention. But my dear people, there's no contention about this matter. Nigerian jollof rice is simply the best. And I can say this anywhere. Because no matter how and whatever method you use to cook it, you can never be wrong with Nigerian jollof rice. So in case you're in this room and you don't like Nigerian jollof rice, let me admonish you right now that the fastest and easiest food to eat when you're hungry is likely jollof rice. In 10 minutes it's done. Put in all your
Dream.
I dare to dream of a Nigeria where all the other continents will come to Nigeria because of the peace and serenity of Nigeria. I dream of a Nigeria with the best educational sector, whereby all the public office holders, the politicians, will not dare to send their children abroad because we have all what it takes in the educational sector. I dream of a Nigeria where we have the best transport system. I dream of a Nigeria where we have our houses built underwater. I dream of a Nigeria where there will be peace and stability at all times. I dream of a Nigeria where our Green Century Code will be considered in all parts of the world. I dream of a Nigeria where everybody is somebody. I dream of a Nigeria where all the young men and women from the rural area and urban area will have a say, regardless of their age, religion. I dream of a Nigeria where we'll be the best agricultural producers and we'll be exporting and we'll never import anything to Nigeria again because we have all what it takes to plant in Nigeria. I dream of a Nigeria where there will be light at all time, 24 hours light. And I'm sure all these my dreams will be actualized after our dear Green Century Code, when it has been implemented and used by the government. That's all my dreams. I'm sure my dreams will come to pass.
Thank you very much, Governor Kaduna from Kaduna State, for that very patriotic speech. Thank you very much. Now, before I call on the second volunteer, I would like to say that when you come up here, please pay attention to the timer. At 1 minute, the green light will come up, and then at 2 minutes, 1 minute 30 seconds, the yellow light, 2 minutes, red light. The second volunteer, please.
Okay, the title here is Tourist Destination Nigeria.
Mr. Michael. Okay, good.
You can read your question and then...
Okay, the question I have here is Tourist Destination Nigeria. Tourism is very important to a nation. You see, when you look at a nation, whenever you come into it as a place, you find out different things that impress you. From their colors, their businesses, even their estate management can be attractive. Nigeria has a color that is known for internationally. Green, white, green. These colors represent agriculture and peace. Tourism in Nigeria would start from the green lands which we find, representing our rich agriculture, our fertile soil. In Nigeria, agriculture is one of the mainstay of our economy before the coming of oil, and it has been something that is attractive for a long time. Aside agriculture, Nigeria has other tourism potentials, like its clothes, the Aba clothes, the ones worn in the north, those worn in the east, those worn in the west. Wherever we go in the world, we hold proudly our own dresses. Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, wherever they go, wherever the meeting is, they would wear our proud African cultural attires. Aside from cultural attires, we have beautiful, diverse languages, cultures. The languages we speak are very important. You can find them in our accents, the way we speak. You can find them in what we say, and you can even find them in our thought processes. Nigeria is rich, blessed with diverse ethnicities and language, which is also the color from which we are perceived in the world. Nigeria also has energy. Talk about our strength. Some people say in Nigeria we're suffering and smiling. I dare you to taste the tourism of Nigeria and see that we are the best in the world. Thank you.
You can all see that it's not a daunting task. Now may I call upon the third volunteer? Okay, you read the question.
You need the mic? Okay.
Distinguished Toastmasters, Your Excellencies, the topic before us today, speakers are leaders. The first mistake every young child makes, every Nigerian makes, every human makes, is simplifying leadership. But at the very core of leadership is speaking. Speaking, as we all know, is a daunting task. But even more daunting of the new nation. We do not fail in taking recognizance of the fact that speakers are leaders. But beyond speaking, it takes poise, it takes tenacity, it takes passion. But when that passion pours out in public speaking, then that leader becomes an example. My word, my message to the Labour Room governors, to the Toastmasters International, to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to every child, whether in the city of Abuja, or in the rural areas, or in the creeks of the Niger Delta. Speakers are leaders. Do not be scared of the daunting task of speaking, but keep your nation's best interests at heart. With passion, with determination, you will develop the spirit of leadership, the spirit that makes public speakers, the spirit that makes speakers leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor from Delta State. Today, more than ever, I feel very proud to be in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Okay, should we call for what?
One more.
Okay, one more?
Okay.
Okay, one more.
One more. The Governor for Oyo State.
From Oyo State?
Yes.
Read your question.
Leadership begins with me. Lebron Governor, Toastmasters International, leadership begins with me. I, Adela Kwadenka Ibrahim, the Lebron Governor of Oyo State, takes the responsibility that leadership begins with me. Why? Well, I say this because what I do, anywhere I stand,
I have to be accountable for whatever decision, actions that I take, things that I do, things that I say, are what I should be accountable for. I shouldn't shy away from my responsibility. On this note, how will I say leadership begins with me if I can't stand in the front of my people, my friends, my colleagues, to tell them that yes, I did this. Even if I'm wrong, I have to be able to take responsibility for whatever decisions, actions in which I take, any moment, at any point in time. Also, we need to understand, when we say leadership begins with me is not the I who stands in front of you. It is the collectiveness, our unification, how we stand together, united, that defines me as a leader. Standing in front of you, saying leadership starts with me, does not mean I in person put myself in front of you, but with your support, everyone in totality, working together, united, we can say leadership begins with me. We also need to understand, when we say leadership begins with me, it has to do with our day-to-day tasks, activities, our poise, courage, attitude to issues, circumstances around us, how we react to our environment, the challenges we face on a daily basis, how we are able to manage ourselves, speaks a lot on telling the world, you, that leadership begins with me. It's a matter of fact that leadership is a position not just occupied by men mortal, but by men who are placed in such a position, not because of what they do or what they say alone, but because of how they inspire the multitude and followers who see them as role models. On this note, we need to understand clearly when we say leadership begins with me. Anybody, I believe, who dares to see that position can achieve that position, the leadership position. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Based on the request by the Labour Room Governor,
Yes.
I would like to
Take
call
someone from
the fifth
lady. That's the Cocoa House, a volunteer from Cocoa House.
Cocoa House.
Yes, Cocoa House.
A lady from Cocoa House, please. Okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Labour Room governors. My topic is talk is cheap.
Talk is cheap.
It's yours. Okay.
Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. I say talk is cheap. Anybody can talk. Oh no, this has nothing to do with being daunting. Stop. Talk is cheap. You can say anything you want to say. But you see, when you're not mentally alert, then whatever it is you're saying goes down the drain. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Anybody can say anything at any point in time. But you see, you have to be deliberate, intentional, strategic in whatever it is you say. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. You see, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But now, I'm a grown woman. I don't just talk anyhow. I don't just reason anyhow. Why? Because I know my heritage. Talk is cheap. Right now, my hands are shaking. This mic is vibrating. I don't even know what I'm saying. But I'm very, very sure. Oh, you're laughing. But I'm very, very sure that when I'm done and when I drop this mic that's shaking, I'll be very, very sure of one thing. That what I said just now has made sense. Because I'm not going to leave this place. I'm not going to leave this stage. I'm not going to leave this life without ensuring that you're sure of the fact that you have to be mentally alert. You have to be strategic. You have to be intentional. You have to be emotionally alert, psychologically alert, and mentally alert at whatever it is you're saying. Talk is very cheap.
tradition in Toastmasters Club, after table topic session, we call upon Toastmasters and members of the guests to vote for the best table topic speaker. So, please, I would like you to put
the piece of paper. Can use this one.
Okay, we'll pass this stick notes round. Please, can you, we need to recognize the speakers once again. Raise your hand and your names, one by one.
The first person from Kaduna.
Yes, Kaduna.
Your state.
Sharon.
Sharon, okay. And
good evening. My name is Sule Muhammad, Labour Governor for Kogi State, and I was the second speaker.
Okay.
From Delta.
Delta.
Shiviri.
Labour Governor.
Shiviri.
Oyo.
Fela.
Olumide.
Ifela.
Okay, please, let's vote for the best table topic speaker.
Yes.
20 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. We have just 30 seconds to
Fold it and pass it. Just fold it and pass it back. Hold on.
You can vote for yourself, please.
Vote. Jim, let's pass round. Jim. Not for yourself, or you just pick.
Pick one.
You didn't pick, just like anything.
No, give to him.
The sticky notes.
No, just give to me. The sticky note. You should have passed it down. Do it. Just pass it.
Just one name.
Only one.
Please, just vote once.
Just
One name.
So we put it in a sequence already. Just put him number one. That means the first is one.
Yeah.
So we use the one.
While we are doing that, I would like to call upon the table topic evaluator. Please put your hands together for her.
All right. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
So this is a culture in Toastmasters. In any of our meetings, we have an evaluation of table topics. So just have a quick rundown. I must say that we're all leaders and we've been speaking. So obviously, I saw that. That was evident. So I'm just going to point out a couple of things that we need to note. Like the first speaker, you spoke with confidence. You spoke about your conviction. You used descriptive words, which really added value to what your message. You said you dreamt of a Nigeria that this and that. You know, it was very descriptive. And that made us imagine the kind of Nigeria you wanted, or you dreamt of. And when you said you wanted us to be living underwater, I just pictured it immediately. Jeez. This must be Bermuda Triangle all over again. Recently, I read something, there was something on internet about underwater hotels. So I felt, wow, well, it's possible. I wouldn't have even known that that was possible. So I love the way you use descriptive words. You stood in one spot though, although I know I did the same, but you had a space here. Maybe just, sometimes you want to make another point, just a little movement could add more value to your speech. The second speaker was Suleiman, and he spoke about tourist destination Nigeria. I love your use of body language. You had good pacing, yes, but I noticed that you were turning around and backing. You were just going round in that circle. So I think that would have been the recommendation, to limit that. Okay, that movement, it was too much and you were just rolling like a rolling chair. All right? But you had good use of diction. That was excellent. Your speech was logically arranged. Your grammar was flawless. That was really beautiful. I had to note that in particular. Then the speaker number 3 is Oshevere Onofe. And speakers are leaders. That's what you spoke about. I love the way you started. That was a very catchy opening. I can't remember now, but it was very catchy. It was very catchy. That was a good way to start your speech. It gets your audience to want to listen to what next you have to say. And that's also part of the skills of good speakers. That was beautiful. The same thing applies to you. The way your diction, the pacing too was very good. The same for you. Your pacing was really good. I would really commend that. And probably a little bit of body language as well. Gestures to drive home your point. Because you stood as well and it was just like that all along. So I think that could just be something that could enhance your message when next you stand here to speak. The fourth person is Adelakun Adeyinka, and he spoke about leadership begins with me. Adelakun also did very well. Very well, yes. I was able to understand your message. It was logical. You put them like precept upon precept. That was beautiful. Perhaps if you can reduce your staccato style of speaking, and that also relates to everybody. So I said, then we go to, it was even the same for like 3 of us. So please let's note it. In a natural speech, let your words just flow rather than staccato. I'm a musician, so staccato just sticks to my head. Staccato is like, and then we said, let us go to do this. And then it becomes plastic, if you're not careful. So let there be a flow. And for every one of you as well, add humor to your speech. So I felt it was too serious. And you know when you're too serious about your speech, it can become boring in no time. So that's just for the general, that's what I noticed about everyone generally. The fifth person was Jedediah. I must say she's very energetic. Oh my God, she is energetic. And she came out she was very friendly when she was even walking to the podium. So I really wanted to listen to you. That was a good one. So you caught us on that. Same thing with the staccato speaking. Perhaps as well, if you could give examples of how talk is cheap. You could give us examples. You just kept on repeating that phrase. I feel that if you had given an example, that would have really driven up the point. It could even be a very funny example of someone that just talks and never does anything. You know, that could have really driven the point rather than just saying talk is cheap, talk is cheap, talk is cheap. So that could have added more content to your speech. But in all, I love the energy. Oh dear, I love the energy. I love the energy. I love the energy. So for every one of us, every speaker that spoke today, please clap for yourselves. You did very well. And I look forward to seeing you speak even outside this place on TV, in international conventions. We want to tune in and say, yes, they were that's one of the governors that we met in this house. Thank you very much. Toastmaster.
Your Excellencies, permit me to call you all Toastmasters. And please, can you give yourselves a round of applause again? So what you have seen here is what you see in a Toastmasters meeting. And you can imagine if that is a practice you do. Weekly, bi-monthly, you keep on doing that. Obviously, it's like a muscle. You keep training yourself, and before you know, you're able to communicate fluently. It is said that even the United States president have a 6 weeks Toastmasters practice before they take over office. So it's very important that we keep on developing ourselves. This is a personal development platform. That is what it is. And we only learn by doing. Everybody who wanted to learn to speak, learned it by speaking. Just like we have in the table topics where everybody came out to speak. And then what did they get? Evaluations. And from evaluations, they get better. Moving forward, we'll be calling on the general evaluators. But before that, I hope, do we have the results? We have a result. But then let's go to the general evaluator. And before he steps up, I would like to say, Nigeria might seem like a daunting challenge to fix. But together, gradually, we can make it possible. The general evaluator.
Thank you very much. This is the third segment of our meeting. And I will be inviting my team members again to come and give their report. And I would like to start with the grammarians. Toastmaster.
Your Excellencies, fellow Toastmasters, as promised, I'm here again with my report on how well we did with our grammar. We have a... Okay, I was going to say in our champion, we don't have our champion. But we have used the word of the day 8 times only, which is not too good, because I think, although it might have been a daunting task to learn how to speak by speaking, nevertheless, the word daunting itself was not too hard to use in a sentence. So the general evaluator used it once, the table topics master used it twice, our third speaker was our champion, he used it 4 times, our fifth speaker used it once, and the toastmaster for the day also used it once. Now to our grammar. Our timer came up and said, time is one of life's most valuable currencies. And I think that's a nice introduction and a nice use of grammar as he began his task. And then the first speaker, okay, it was Dare to Dream. I liked the vocabulary. What was the first speaker? Yes. Lovely, clear voice, and I liked your use of English. You used easy phrases, and it was quite nice. And she said that at one point we have all what it takes, and I think it would have been nicer to use we all have what it takes, but it happens in speech. Sometimes what we want to say doesn't quite come out because we're speaking on the spot. The second speaker also had a very nice voice, and I heard they would wear our proud African attires, and it would have been nicer to say they would wear our African attires proudly. I also heard if I can't stand in the front of my people, it would have been better to say if I can't stand in front of my people. I also heard it has to do with our poise, courage, and attitude, and that was a very nice way of using grammar. It has to do with our poise, courage, and attitude, so the fluency of that phrase was very well put, so well done. I heard I'm not gonna leave, so that is colloquial. So when you're speaking, use proper English. Rather than say I'm not gonna, you would say I won't do this, or there's no way I would still doing that. So let's leave the colloquial phrases out. That is as far as the table topic session was concerned. Now I also listened to your introductions. And as governors, as people in public service, as people in the limelight, it is imperative that we know how to introduce ourselves properly. Now, when you say my name is, you only state your name. You do not state your title. So if you're a doctor, ambassador, engineer, architect, whatever, that is not your name, except your parents named you doctor or architect or whatever. So that is your title. So the name is different from your title. So you would say, my name is Sonia Alana, as opposed to my name is Ambassador Sonia Alana. Ambassador is not a name, it's a title. But if you want people to know your title, you would just say, I am, and then you can use your title to introduce yourself. Another thing that I found where we could improve is that some of us introduced ourselves with our surname first. In speech, your first name is followed by your surname. I know often there's a confusion because when we fill out forms, it says surname first and then you fill in your surname followed by your first name and middle name. But in speech, it is always your first name followed by your surname. So you do not introduce yourself with your surname first. So apart from that, there were a few things that I noticed which I liked. Some of the governors, when they got up to introduce themselves, the gentlemen, they buttoned their jackets, which is a very good thing to do, because really that is what should be done. When you stand, you button your jacket, and when you sit down, you loosen it. Some of you didn't do it, so if you didn't do it, please do it next time. I also noticed that some of you, in introducing yourselves, you spoke a little too fast. Now remember that in speech, people want to know what it is you're saying, and you want to come across as knowledgeable and interesting. So it is important that you pace your words, you pronounce them properly, and people can actually understand what you're saying. Again, I heard some colloquialism, somebody spoke about kids. Please do not speak about kids. Kids are actually baby goats, right? Am I right? But the children is what you would want to talk about. When you are getting up to introduce yourself, also please stand straight. Some of you leant over the table as you are speaking, so that undermines your confidence. So make sure you always stand straight and sit straight as well. So it projects your voice much better. It's also good to make good eye contact and ensure that your stance is positive at all times. I think with that, my report is done. I hand over to the General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Elected Toastmaster Sonia Alana. I will also call my other team member, the timekeeper, Toastmaster Winston.
Thank you very much, the General Evaluator. So I had the very daunting task of tracking time. And sometimes, even the timer loses track of time. We had a total of 6 speakers in the table topics segment. Now that's where I focused in the entire meeting. Our first speaker is a Toastmaster, and she understands the rules quite well. She spoke for 2 minutes and 24 seconds. The second person that came up here is our governor from Kaduna State, Governor Sharon, and she spoke for 1 minute and 56 seconds. Our second speaker, Governor Suleiman of Kogi, spoke for 2 minutes and 8 seconds. The third speaker, Governor Oshevere, spoke for 2 minutes and 7 seconds. That's the governor from Delta. The fourth speaker is Governor Ibrahim from Oyo State, and he spoke for 2 minutes and 25 seconds. And the sixth speaker, who is the Governor Ifela from Ogun State and from Cocoa House, spoke for 1 minute and 56 seconds. With that being said, everyone was within time, so I wouldn't be sorting anyone out today. Thank you very much. The General Evaluation.
Thank you very much. Now it is time for me to give the General Evaluation. In Toastmasters, after they give all their report, we give the General Evaluation. But because of constraint of time, the grammarian has already done the substantial part of the General Evaluation. So I will just narrow it down to some few areas. First, the ambience is beautiful. Environment is good, and all the audience are ready for this program. The dressing excellent. You all dress very well, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, the environment is good, and also the timing. Like the timer said, most of us are within the time. And also the table session is excellent because it was really well organized. All the people participated very well, and I saw the display of Toastmasters talent among those who participated in the table topic. Because in Toastmasters, like when Winston was explaining this manual, in competent communicator, there are some skills that is expected of you to learn. Some of you have displayed such skills, like the vocal variety, and so many other things. So generally, it's a very good thing, and we thank you for being a wonderful audience. Now the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. We learn every day.
Yes, of course.
So I have to button my jacket. We'll be having drum rolls for the best table topic. So please, drum rolls. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be calling on our divisional director to make that presentation. Okay. And the winner is Delta State Governor. Please, a round of applause.
I present you with this Toastmasters ribbon. It is accepted and acknowledged internationally. So anywhere that he goes, internationally, and it shows this rigor. It's acknowledged that he was the best table topic speaker at the table topic.
We have come to the end of our Toastmasters meeting, and like you have seen, our meeting is organized. The idea is to help us to even be organized mentally. We don't do African time in Toastmasters. So to present the awards, the gifts, I'll be calling up our divisional director and our program quality director to support her. Please a round of applause for them.
Whilst it is true that leaders are speakers, what is even more true is the fact that leaders are readers. And so, on behalf of the Division Directorate, we have a few books that we will be presenting in no particular order to the people who volunteered during the table topics session.
Okay.
Okay, the chairman of the Governor's Forum. Yeah. And so we would be inviting all the volunteers of the table topics part of the meeting to come forward, and the division director will present you with
gifts to them or something called how the governors can read.
Everyone can read it.
Everyone can
read it. But it's to them. So if you want to release it for the fee.
How many? You have 6?
Okay,
great. Okay, that's all right.
And so I would be starting off with the governor from Kaduna State, Governor Sharon.
House of palm oil.
And she is from the house of palm oil. And we have the second man was the governor of Kogi,
House of Cassava.
the house of Cassava. Governor Spirit. And we have Governor
Oshivere from Delta State.
Oshivere from Delta, the house of rice. Please keep clapping up again. And we have the governor from Oyo State, Governor Ibrahim. The house of ginger. Ginger. The governor from Ogun State, the house of cocoa, Governor Ifela. Thank you all. My job is... So I would hand over to our division director.
Your Excellencies, fellow Toastmasters, it's been a wonderful evening with you in your midst. It has been an absolute delight listening to your speeches, your impromptu speeches, and we are particularly happy with the enthusiasm you showed in participating. We hope that you have learned a thing or two about Toastmasters, and we also hope that we have whet your appetite to be a part of the Toastmasters International movement. I would encourage everybody, all of you, once you leave the house, to please join the Toastmasters Club and also take the Toastmasters mantra everywhere. Because leadership really begins with being able to communicate and communicate effectively. There's no point being full of knowledge without really knowing how to put your points across. Because it could be misconstrued and one could be misunderstood, and in the end, all the good efforts are a waste. So rather than that, we would like to enjoy your Toastmaster instances in his opening remarks. Let us enter the shallow waters and let's begin to build together, so that by the time this new leadership will emerge, everybody will be able to speak effectively, be confident, and we will have a better Nigeria all around. Speakers are leaders, and speakers are definitely leaders as well. So for those of you that got the books and even some of the materials that we have shared, please read them. It will make a difference in your life. And we hope that you've enjoyed our session as much as we have enjoyed being a part of you. And so with that, I want to say thank you for hosting us, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Wow. Wow. Speaking is indeed a daunting task. I'm so inspired that no matter how daunting a task is, it can be achieved. Without any iota of doubt, I think I am gladly proud to say that I will be a member of Toastmasters. And I'm very sure the Super 37s, because as leaders, speakers are leaders. So for you to be a good leader, you must not be scared of the daunting task of speaking. In a very special way, I want to thank the Toastmasters. Although we're not told about the origin of Toastmaster, but from the name Toastmaster, it brings my memory to weddings, you know, celebrations where you toast. And most times they just say, okay, the Brom governor for this, or a friend, lead us in the toast. So it's a part of an impromptu speech. So I thank you all for coming. We are proud of having you here. Yes, and before we round off, I don't know if the Brom governors would. Okay.
Can I talk about the history of
briefly?
Okay,
just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. Yeah. I don't know if the Brom governors have one or two questions before we round up the session. But after the question, he will tell us more about Toastmaster in shortest possible time. Then we can round up. Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's a protocol we have to follow.
Interesting. I
Yes.
like that.
So maybe you could be sitting. So
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
My name is Prince Yusuf, the governor of Kaduna State. And mine is an observation that when Toastmaster Winston was talking, you are so inspiring, and I pick a lot of words from all you said, and they are motivating to a very large extent. But there is a place you made a comment that mimicking is, you have tried it and it didn't work for you. But I believe mimicking is a gift, and when you see any person get it wrong, it's not your call. Thank you.
The Brom governor for your state.
This is a very, very beautiful project, 90 years old. But it's kind of, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I wonder why this kind of privilege is not being given to secondary school students, students in tertiary institutions, and universities. Most international organizations and laws have let me say elementary and post-elementary sessions with primary, secondary, and those phases in which gradually
just something you delve into at all. And public speaking generally is something we do every day. I believe if this avenue is extended into Asian institutions, it will be a very, very relevant project. University of Ibadan, for one, is an avenue where public speaking, Jowo, is highly relevant. If you can speak in Jowo, you can speak anywhere. And I would love if it could be a platform like this could be extended in our Asian institutions, secondary schools, even at the primary school level. Because I know other international organizations that have structures and I think it's very, very important.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Good evening, Excellencies.
Good evening.
You have no idea how daunting it is. Practically, my heart is sitting in front of my mouth. Many years ago, I attended a meeting, a Toastmaster meeting in Ahmadu Bello University, studying one of the most daunting courses. And I was invited to join the Toastmaster club. I was a little boy, scared, shaky. I have always wanted to be a public speaker. I hope someday I'm going to get there. But one of the questions I asked them was, how would I get to this point? Because I saw some very, very fine speaker, and I think it was too daunting for me. But thank God, I am one of the Toastmasters. Can I call myself a Toastmaster?
Yes, you can.
So, I am the first liberal.
No, the second.
Toastmaster.
The second.
First.
No, I
My question is, yeah, speaking publicly, fluently, would there be room for things like traditional way of speaking, colloquial way of speaking? I know you said colloquial, it goes wrong, but sometimes when I speak, especially when the audience is a mixed audience, I'd like to really go down, then come up. So I don't know if there's a training like that. Is there also a training, most times when I speak, I like using imagery when I talk. And sometimes I find it very daunting to stop describing what I say. I know I've tried repeatedly, some of us have tried repeatedly to control it, but we'll take the form of training so we can control it. And also the use of, we're going to be speaking to a Nigerian audience. Can we learn how to speak to an international audience and shock them? But at the same time, not forgetting that we're going to be speaking to a Nigerian audience. There's one major problem I have with some very good speakers. They practically disconnect with the people. You're talking and the audience is all talk, and then you lose them. So we'll take a training like that, because already I'm a Toastmaster and I'm going to beat the daunting task.
Okay, this one. Then, okay. After that. Another question. So, hope you're able to take notes.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. 7 years ago, November 6, 2010, I received an award as Best Many Teacher. And 7 years later, Toastmasters gave me some to MBA. But I want to let the House know that 7 years ago, the same day I received an award, I lost my dad. So, 7 years remembrance of a lawyer, a Toastmaster by profession, one of my inspirations, why I talk the way I talk. So, the Enofi family is watching me right now. This is to Chief A.
Governor for Ogun State.
Thank you very much, ma'am and sirs. Should I say ma'ams?
Toastmasters.
Okay. Earlier when I was introducing myself, I mentioned my personal development project, being art and global movement. Like I said, I'm interested in emotional, psychological, and psychological fitness and wellness. So teenagers. I work with teenagers, although I'm actually a legal practitioner. But I can see here you're saying that we should join the
Toastmasters, but I don't just want to join the Toastmasters. I want to be an innovative. Is there a way I can work, or rather, is there a way we can work together? Because I don't just want to return to the state. I was working in Lagos State with a law firm before I entered the mansion. But I don't just want to return to Lagos. I don't just want to return to the state. We want to start this project. I want to return with all my weapons, so to speak, intact. I want to return not just as a member or an ambassador. I want to return knowing that I have a big organization at my back. I have a big organization who are fully aware that I'm going to do something. So I don't know how that can be possible. Thank you.
Okay, I think, okay.
So I do want to know this dancing, why was it made to go into our sentences?
Okay. Sorry? The last, but not the least. The last. Yes.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for coming. While one of you was speaking, you said join for the states that have Toastmasters club. Does that mean not all states have? That's one question. And the second one, if it's a yes, how can you commit yourself to involving all the Lagos governors to having Toastmasters club in all the states?
Thank you very much for your questions. To answer your questions, I have the TMTT and the divisional director, so they'll be answering. And Winston will be telling us about Toastmasters briefly. So let's start with Winston first of all. Do you want to briefly?
Okay, thank you very much, Toastmaster. Once again, good evening. I will start by responding to my government team. Now, when I said mimic, perhaps I should have explained why. When we talk about mimicking as a gift, it's no doubt a gift, especially in the entertainment industry. Now, when you have a message, it's important you find your unique voice. Because every single one of us has a unique way of speaking. There are so many people who are good with mimicking. There are so many people who are good at getting to do what other people are doing the same way. Now, we have listened to excerpts of I Have a Dream, that speech by Martin Luther King. I could remember Denzel Washington also giving that same speech, or excerpts of it, when Obama had his We Are One rally a day before his first inaugural ceremony. But that speech by Denzel didn't have the same impact it had when Dr. King gave that speech about 40-something years before that day. Now, there's a Washington, there's a movie star. He's definitely good at mimicking. But he didn't pass that message well. But I bet you if he had said that, or he had his own story, it would probably have been a different thing. So mimicking, it's indeed a gift, know that. But when it comes to passing your message on a serious platform, perhaps it's important that you find your unique voice so that you don't dilute your message. Now, Toastmasters started off in 1924. A man, Dr. Ralph Smedley, then he was the General Secretary of the Young Christian Men's Association. And what he noticed was that a lot of the young men in his organization really had things to say. They had messages, but they weren't able to communicate. And so he got a group of them together, then just men, and started what he called a Toastmasters Club. Now, why did he call it Toastmasters? Because many times you're required to give a toast. So it was on that basis he started off what he called a Toastmasters Club. And soon other cities around him, I think he started it in California, and other cities around him began asking when they noticed that the men from the Young Men's Christians Association and the California branch were very eloquent, were very confident. And he now replicated that model in other cities. And sometime in the 1960s, the organization began to accommodate women. So it started off because a gentleman noticed a gap. He understood that people had stories to tell. They had messages, but a lot of them were unable to pass these messages. So he got a group of them together, and it has grown from that into what it is today. We have currently over 400,000 members worldwide. We have districts. The world headquarters is subdivided into regions. And so we are under region 11, which covers the Middle East and Africa. And within our region, we have districts covering parts of the continents, the various continents. So we have District 94, which covers clubs, about 124 clubs across the West African and Central African countries. And within District 94, we have 7 divisions. Each country in the district has various clubs, but Nigeria is the only country within the district that has an entire division to itself. As a matter of fact, we have 2 divisions. One in the southern part of the country, with majority of its clubs in Lagos, and the second one in the northern part of the country, with majority of its clubs in Abuja. And other countries would come, maybe 2 countries would form another division, like Division A, you have Côte d'Ivoire, you have, and another, I can't remember now, Division B, you have Ghana, you have Togo, you have Benin Republic. So they are in clusters like that, but because we are many here, we have more clubs, and as such, we have 2 divisions. We have the Project Nigeria, which our Didi will talk to us about, on how we plan to even increase our number of clubs so that we can have clubs in every state. Should I take another question? Or we also have questions. Someone asked about the opportunities for schools. And I was happy when another person, the governor from Edo State, said his first encounter with the Toastmasters Club was in Ahmadu Bello University. So I hope that answers your question, because we have platforms for schools. For secondary schools, we have what we call the Gavel Clubs. The Gavel Clubs are a result of programs we run called the YLP, the Youth Leadership Projects. Now what this really does is, or how we run this is, we go into schools, we pitch the idea of running the YLPs for the secondary school students. It's an 8 weeks long program. Now at the end of that program, where we teach the children how to run meetings, meeting protocols, how to deliver speeches, your stance, your body language, gestures, vocal variety, at the end of that, we now set up what we call the Gavel Clubs, where they would elect their president and other officers to run the clubs. Our clubs are run like businesses. Every club has 7 officers. The president, who is the chief executive officer of the club, the vice president education, who is sort of the chief operating officer. We have the vice president membership, the vice president public relations, the treasurer, the secretary, and the sergeant at arms. So we also replicate that at the Gavel Club level for the children at that age to understand teamwork, team building, interpersonal communication, strategic management, and strategic leadership. At the end of that, they set up the Gavel Clubs. When they grow to the age of 18, in some cases 21, and can pay for the adult clubs, then they transfer to the Toastmasters clubs. So I hope that answers your question, the governor from Oyo. Yes, we have things that could work at the school, the secondary and tertiary educational levels. Thank you very much. The Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, Toastmaster.
All right, since it's a very informal session now, I don't think I have to come to the lectern. I should come to the lectern. Oh dear. All right. Okay. Sometimes I just like to sit down. It's not my fault. All right, I want to answer a couple of questions. Somebody talked about traditional way of speaking. I'm happy to tell you that Toastmasters International also have programs in Chinese language, in French, in Arabic. And this only means that communication is communication anywhere, regardless of what language you use. I don't want us to get stuck with communication has to just be in English. English is just a language among the several languages in the world. And in Nigeria, just a few people speak English, trust me. Yes, just a few people speak English in Nigeria. The most spoken language in Nigeria is what? It's Pidgin. Everybody speaks it. Whether you've gone to school or not, you know how to speak Pidgin. The Yoruba person can speak Pidgin. The Igbo man can speak Pidgin to you. The Hausa man will speak Pidgin to you. You enter any market, once they see you, they just speak Pidgin, straight off. Because they believe you must understand Pidgin. So I also want you to know that language or communication is a structural thing. It's for you to understand that when you speak, you must be effective at it. You must understand structure. What should I be saying that will make it clear what I mean to this person I'm speaking to? And that is what Toastmasters also teaches us. Every meeting, we have to practice. What did I say? Practice. Practice. Somebody mentioned that you have a training. But I dare say that it's practice that actually makes you better at what you do. Once you become good at it. Some of us joined Toastmasters. I joined in 2010. That's 7 years ago. Am I correct? My mathematics is still in place. But that's 7 years ago. And I know how I started, and I know where I am right now. So when you keep practicing and you keep getting feedback, you get better at what you do. And it's different from when you go for a training or a course, 5 minutes, 1 week, even 1 month. And after that, it's over. Toastmasters give you an environment where you keep talking, where you keep speaking, and you get mentors that can help you to be better at what you do. Until that time when you know you are free. It's just like you have freedom for tailors in the Southwest. After you learn and you're good at your art, your guy will do freedom for you and you call everybody. But there's a point in your career in Toastmasters. I'll say it's a career in fact. Because some of us have also grown to a point in our journey in Toastmasters where we're actually doing things outside Toastmasters and we hold the credit to Toastmasters. Trust me, we do. Secondly, I also wanted to mention that in Toastmasters, beyond the CC manuals that Winston spoke about, that's Toastmaster Winston, we have the advanced levels. And we have 15 manuals where you get to the advanced stage. 15 different manuals where you can pick 6 of those manuals and focus. So in this case, it becomes specialized for you because you can now pick which ones you want to specialize in. For me, I started with technical presentation, so I went through that manual and went through the entertaining speaker, the professional speaker. I did 6. Humorously speaking is also one of them. Specialty speeches. I think there's something about speaking on TV or video, communication on video. So you actually look through the 15 manuals and pick 6 that answers to your need. And then you go through that as well. So the Toastmasters journey is not something that ends in one day. It's something you have to be passionate about. It's something you have to have you know this is what you need and that's why you're there. And I know when Didi starts speaking to your own question, we get to understand why it means a lot to us. Those that have passion for things are the ones that drive it and make it happen. And we want to believe that you have caught the passion even today. And lastly, I want to mention that, okay, I think I spoke on one form of training. Okay, I think I've finished. I've kind of addressed all the concerns I have here. So keep on speaking. The more you speak, the better you get. And Toastmasters is the place to be.
Thank you very much, GTMTT. Call on our divisional director. Please a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. I would also like to address Toastmaster Sylvester. Should I say Toastmaster Governor? I don't know which one comes first. Toastmaster Sylvester. Yes, when you talked about speaking in such a way that the audience understands, so it depends on your audience. In fact, we have one of our projects that says, know your audience. So definitely, if you're going to speak to market women, I don't expect you to be speaking Queen's English. As a matter of fact, we hosted a Toastmasters meeting in Pidgin English at one time, and it was very difficult. I can assure you it was very difficult because knowing, because being able to say or to express yourself the way you wanted to, now suddenly in Pidgin, it became an obstacle. So yes, you need to know, but you see the thing is that the technicalities of the speech remain the same. The eye contact, the stance, the body language, the vocal variety, it remains the same irrespective of whichever language you speak in. But do try not to speak bad English. There's no excuse for bad English. There's pidgin English, which is opposed to bad English. And then also you talked about speaking in a way that, what was the word you used?
Use your audience.
Imagery.
Yes, imagery. You said that you use imagery. Now that is actually very good. Because when you use imagery, you're painting a picture with words that people can relate to. You did say that sometimes when we speak, we lose the audience. And why do we lose the audience? Because once you can't relate, if you can't relate, you're going to lose it. But once you begin with imagery, if you say, when I was a little girl, and I was walking by the stream, and a bee just whizzed past my ear, you can imagine that thing. And everybody sits forward and listens because they can relate to it. Most people have a stream in their villages. Most people know what a bee is and all of that. So it's actually a good way of speaking. I don't think you should drop it. Somebody asked why we use the word daunting, why the word daunting was introduced. Now at each Toastmasters meeting, we introduce a word of the day. And the essence of that is for us to enrich our vocabulary.
Of Toastmasters.
Because very often we just speak with the same number of words, we use it on and on and on. But when we introduce new words all the time, we encourage ourselves to use that. That's why when we bang the table, it kind of sits in, or it resonates in our memory so that we learn to use it in different circumstances. So by the next meeting, another word will be introduced. So you are also encouraged to continue to use the word. And it is daunting, not daunting. I heard some people say daunting. It's not daunting, it is daunting. Can we all say daunting? Daunting. Daunting, not daunting. So please use that word as you continue this evening, tomorrow, for the rest of the week. And then try to introduce a new word every time and then use it. Because it helps you to express yourself better. Now I would like to speak quickly about what we call Project Nigeria. And Project Nigeria is really what we have embarked upon this year to ensure that Toastmasters becomes a household word in Nigeria. Many people don't even know what Toastmasters is all about, what Toastmasters has to offer, and what the individual stands to gain by being a member of Toastmasters International. And as Toastmaster Winston, or sorry, was it the Toastmaster Victor who alluded to it, public speaking or speaking in public is so important that in the United States, all the American presidents, upon being elected, have to undergo a compulsory 6-month stint in Toastmasters. It's that important. There's a Toastmasters club in the Pentagon, there's a Toastmasters club in Congress. So it's important for us to key into that, so that within the community of the nation we can take our rightful place and say, yes, we too can stand up anywhere and speak, because they are practicing while we are twiddling our thumbs and eating suya. Right? So we need to also step up to the plate and say, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's become better speakers. Let's communicate and let's get our messages across. And it will help every single leader being able so to do. So the Project Nigeria is really to bring it to everywhere. So all of you, I'm sure, would take the message as we are leaving. We are leaving you with the badges. And it says, please wear them proudly. It says, ask me about Toastmasters. So you will be able to say a thing or two about what Toastmasters is all about, where it started, how it started, and why it is important. And as Toastmaster Winston said, we all have a voice, and we all have a message. And why is it important to you? Why it is important to Toastmaster Sylvester may be completely different from why it is important to Toastmaster Sonia, may be completely different to why it is important to Toastmaster Titi. But ask me about Toastmasters, and I'll tell you why you should be a part of it. The Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Let me just take two. Fellow Toastmasters, Your Excellencies, let's just take 30-second question from the Room Governor for Ekiti State and 30 seconds from the Room Governor for Kwara State. And that will be all the contribution for today.
All right. Thanks for the whole things. I really appreciate your wonderful words. I just want to ask this question that for how long will it take us to be groomed to an extent of getting those master in our respective states? And also, is there any cost implication? Are we going to be paying anything for all these materials? It's going to be free. So all is going to be free. Sorry for using that word. Thank you. That's the question I want to ask.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Mine is just an observation about mimicry. I believe there is no sin in modeling after someone, but in the quest of modeling, we should not lose ourselves.
Exactly.
Because the moment I'm talking now, and my fellow governors keep saying I'm sounding like David Ocean, it means I've lost my own sense of originality. And if we were born original, we shouldn't die focused. Thank you.
Okay, now, before you run up everything, just permit me to introduce to you Nigeria's SOS. The GCC is Nigeria's SOS, that is a sequence of solution. We are aware that rebuilding or giving birth to a super nation is really a daunting task. And also, no solution without your direct micro contribution is a guaranteed solution. And we make bold to say that the future will be kind to us because we intend to write it. And to write it, we have a miracle, which is the GCC, as the Grain Century Code, a 100-year development plan for Nigeria. Gone are the days when leaders come and tell us what they want to do. With this book, they will come and tell us how to achieve what we want them to do. And the best man with the best system or the best step ideas on achieving this becomes the leader. When we do this, Nigeria, for the first time in history, will have a direction for 100 years. We are Super 37, and we are anchoring these dreams. And we've gotten contribution from over 100,000 Nigerian youths out there. And you're invited to dream with us, but the book is going to be reviewed after like 10 years. But for now, if your dream is coming, of course, it's going to be part of this book. So this is GCC and it's Nigerian SOS. So we're going to round up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There was a question that has been left unanswered. Okay, Winston. 2 questions. Okay, Winston, just briefly.
2 unanswered questions. I know one is from a lady from the Cocoa House. You asked about how Toastmasters can partner with you for your PDP.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, just as I mentioned, the Youth Leadership Program is one way through which Toastmasters can partner with you. Because you are in Ogun State, we would most likely refer you to the clubs in Lagos. They also have a division director there. I'm sure if we put in the word, they would be closer to you so they can guide you as to how you can implement the YLP to satisfy your quest to serve your people. Will that help?
Yes, please.
Great. Now, I wanted to call you a Toastmaster. I didn't get where you're from, sorry? From Ekiti State. Yeah. Now, your question is, how long will it take for us to groom you? Well, you see, most of us actually join Toastmasters and have to learn on the job. As Program Quality Director, I am primarily responsible for the training for all the officers within the northern part of the country. At the start of every Toastmasters year, we organize one training. Midway into the Toastmasters year, we organize another training. The Toastmasters year officially begins on the 1st of July and ends on the 30th of June the next year. So during that training, we would teach you the basics: team leadership, sharing a vision, organizing members of your team to actually work with you to make your mission a reality. We would also teach you how to run your clubs and organize your meetings. But we would allow you to go back and put to practice these things and get feedback from members of your team. When you start off a club, or when a club starts off, that club is put under an area. So you have an area officer, an area director, you have a club coach, you have a club mentor. So you have 3 people who are working with you as a club president, or as a club, and your club officers, to ensure that your club survives and to ensure that you are being taught everything you need to know on how to run the club. But we would not take away from you that independence and that need for you to sort of jump in and learn how to flap your legs until you can go 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, and breathe. So we would simply be around the pool to guide you, but you would take that dip and you would actually flap your legs. You would actually stroke until you can remain afloat. One thing is certain, we would not let you sink. So I hope that answers your question. There is no time frame as to how long you would need to spend under my wings to learn. We would throw you in, we would be around you, you would learn on the job, we would not let you sink.
Then the second question, sir, about the cost implications.
The cost implication, well, we often say even in Freetown there is no free lunch. So there is a cost. We have administrative charges as a club. For the YLPs, it's free because a club sponsors a gavel club. Children would not pay. But for the clubs itself, every member mandatorily pays $120 when you join. That's an annual fee, and it could be paid in 2 installments. Now, after the first year, you would renew with $100. Some clubs have extra needs they need to cater for. For example, there are clubs that need to hire venues to hold their meetings. And so they might add a charge or a fee, a Naira equivalent. You are not supposed to pay in dollars because you know we're in Nigeria. So you would most likely change your dollars, but you have to pay an equivalent of $120. So if tomorrow the dollar goes up to 500, you work it out and you pay through your club's treasury and they will remit the money. Because of that money, you would receive your manual and you will receive correspondence. Every month you receive a newsletter from Toastmasters International and what have you. We also have events that come up. In this month, every year we have 2 district conferences that bring together all clubs in West Africa. And luckily, this year, this half of the year, the conference is holding in Lagos. Last year we had it in Lome. The year before last it was in Mali. So we have 2 conferences every year, one in November in the fall and the other in the spring. Next May, we would have the spring conference in Ghana. There will be fees attached. Expenses are really, everyone will pay for his or her fare to Ghana. We also have speech contests, where the winners of the contest from the club level will represent their clubs at the area level. The area level, you represent your club at the division level. The division level, you represent your club at the district level. And when you win the district level, you get an all-expense paid, not an all-expense now, you get a paid trip, a ticket to the international convention, which would usually hold somewhere in the North America. We've had it once in Asia, in Malaysia. Last year we had it in Canada. It was this year. We had it in Canada. And I was so proud because the winner from the district who represented us in Canada is a Toastmaster from Aso Rock Stars in Nigeria. He won at the division level, he won other contestants from other African countries, and he had his ticket to Vancouver, where he got off at the semi-final stage because he had to face over 100 people from other districts. But it was an amazing experience for him. And he returned a changed man.
So I just feel it's important for me to add this. For some of the governors here that they are thinking of starting a club when you get back to your states. How many of us are thinking that way? You feel you could start a club, you could actually start something. So there are rules to that. But just quickly, a club that would start will need 20 members. So if you get 20 interested members that are willing to come together and pay the subscription, if you have a venue where you can use, because venue is absolutely important, 2 things, those 2 things are very critical. And of course you can get back to us because you can help the process. But at least the members must be available, and then the hall or the venue of meeting. And one last thing please, The website is active, is www.toastmasters.org. There's so much information, even material for you to read and develop yourself, even through the website. You can check the clubs near you on the website. You can check latest events. Speeches are on that website. It's very robust and very functional. www.toastmasters.org. Please take time to visit the website and enjoy the information you find there. Thank you very much. We look forward to feedback from you. And thank you. The Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Before we round up, we'll take a picture with the best table topics. So please a round of applause for him again as he comes on stage. With your ribbon.
No, come this way.
So I was going to...
I should come to the window.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, fellow Toastmasters, I know I can all call you Toastmasters. As is our tradition in Toastmasters, to call the meeting to an end, I formally adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again, Toastmasters International. This is the Solution Building Branch.
So it is my pleasure to decorate you as to be the first recipient of the Ask Me About Toastmasters badge. And I can say proudly Toastmaster.
Before the general photograph, may we rise up and take our prayer. Governor for Delta State, lead us in prayer.
The labor of the after the count of 2. 1, 2.
I stand in the sacred gate of time, shoulder to shoulder with my kind and breed. We share a common burden and promise. The travail has started. My water is broken. Something is coming. A superior nation is breaking out. The world is anxiously waiting, and I am the carrier. I must release the precious seed inside of me. The memories of yesterday will not stop me. The pains and shame of today will not define me. My womb is the carrier of the future. Few days from now, my baby will cry in freedom. I shall give to the world a brand new supervision. This is my calling. It is too late to stop me. For by God of my kind, this will surely be. Push! Push!
Okay, just come this way from this part.
One, check one. They're correct.
Or do we pass it for them to just...
Just pass it.
Okay.
They won't go up from Lagos State. Let's just wait. Okay. Let's start from.
Okay. so they can come.
Sharon.
It should be in the center, yeah.
Super 37.
Push.
Thank you.
How about not cover it?
Well done. No, well done.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Well done.
You guys are doing an amazing thing. Casserole. Ah. I'll see you soon. So bring them up.
Sorry.
Hey, hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Marshall State girl. And what's your name again?
Okay,
so what's your project?
It's Nigeria Agri-Tourism Festival.
Agri-tourism?
Yes, want to be amazing the agri-sector and the tourism of Nigeria. Using that to showcase our agri-produce that is mostly wasted by processing it, packaging and preserving it to meet international.